Aloha, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the podcast. This is the weekly quantum plasma stream for the week of December 16th through December 23rd. Well, happy solstice week. Such amazing energies. There's a lot going on, a lot to talk about. We are coming out of a full moon. We had a full moon on Sunday, so you might be feeling a little bit of full moon hangover. It's the last full moon of 2024, and some pretty amazing energy, pretty unique energy signatures to be wrapping up this wild year. So we're going to be talking about that. The last full moon of the year, very powerful. It's the dual kind of looking at the balancing, right, of divine mind and divine heart. So this full moon was in Gemini, the sign of the twins, the sign of multiple aspects of being and the pairing. I observed a lot of people really struggling with this full moon. It was also during a Mercury retrograde, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And so this was an incredible opportunity for people to experience a reset with how they function and how they perceive reality. So a lot of people that were locked into the old mentalities and the old ways of functioning, definitely having a very hard time. So it's kind of like forcing you to open up and look at things in a new way, right? And try new routes. For those that are really kind of locked in to this is the way it is, this is reality, really fixed in with those linear constructs, this full moon was definitely a mind fuck for them. It's all about the facts, right? Gemini energy is give me the data. What are the facts here? The opposite in the wheel, in the astrological wheel of Gemini is Sagittarius. So whenever we have a full moon, it's always the moon opposite the sun. So we're always looking at aspects of our soul, our light, and our higher self wisdom, also our subconscious and our emotions with the moon and the tribal consciousness too. And so that's that dual axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. Gemini, what are the facts that we know right now, right here in front of us? Sagittarius, what do we believe about it? What are our truths about it, and what is evolving with all of this? So anywhere where we were fixated or fixed and trying to control, or still having this belief of how things are supposed to be, completely melting, and that could be chaotic for some people, and we'll talk more about that as we continue. So this week really is all about the solstice. You really want to fill your cup and slow down. It's also important to notice that Mercury is going direct now after that full moon in Gemini. And so it's almost like, okay, you were shown how having these fixations and these beliefs and these thought forms and these patterns of being, which ones are actually true, which ones are not authentic anymore, which ones are social imprinting and different constructs, or just feeling like you're hitting your head against the wall, trying to push something for something that just isn't aligned. It's just not meant to be. So all of those themes with the Gemini full moon, now Mercury is stationing direct and going out of retrograde. And so you'll find that it's going to be a very interesting experience in the mind. I mean, this was basically like a collective unplugging of our brains. And so if your head feels weird, your brain feels weird, it's like you can't think and process information normally, or you feel just completely bombarded by linear information. Personally, I was noticing I can't even read anything or take in anything external. All I could do was write and just be and reflect and observe everything going on and write about it. It's been a wonderful energy to write with if you're feeling guided to kind of share your thoughts with your journal or write codes, anything like that. So this week now is all about the solstice energy. You want to fill up your cup, sacred self-care. You want to slow down. You really may be feeling more of that call to some sacred hibernation, right? And being more internal and with yourself and not putting a whole lot of energy outwards. A lot are still going through many physical upgrades. These will be consistently happening. I invite you, if you have not yet, to watch the Crystalline Codes of December video, because we go really in depth on how the crystalline energy is essentially like a laser, and it's boring through us, it's tunneling through us to clear, to purge, to eradicate anything that is not highest aligned at this time. And so it's an excellent time yet again to watch where you may get stuck in your head and understand, yes, these are ways of functioning that we spent our whole lives before, right? And so this is a process of remembering how to operate from a unified state. So meaning that you're aware of your mind and the quality of your thoughts, and you're focusing that energy. You are in tune with your emotions, and you're clearing, you're processing, keeping your heart open, and you're tuning in and feeling, how does your body feel? So you want to keep checking in and deferring to your higher wisdom, right? Your higher self, your soul consciousness. I call mine my executive director, which helps helps me to then stay focused and only put my energy into what is highest aligned. This week, you could feel aggravated. So you want to use your energy wisely. You want to do useful tasks, beautify your space, tidy your home, move the energy, go for a walk, call a friend, keep moving the energy through. Do not just sit there and dwell or get lost in your head or drowning in all of the purging that is going on, right? So you really want to be aware of where the mind is going. Allow, of course, we are in this crystalline purging process, but you don't want to get stuck. The whole point of the clarification process with the crystalline energy is to clear what isn't feeling good and then move on, right? So, of course, you have to be thorough with this process, but there's a difference between dwelling and actively moving the energy. And there's a lot of collective purging going on right now. You imagine all the different levels of consciousness and their awareness in addition to your own stuff, that the media is really trying to stir the pot right now with creating collective chaos and madness and fear. I shared a video over the weekend about how to spot a psyop. That's very important with all of this drone stuff going on right now. If you're not aware or have not heard of Project Bluebeam, you want to look into that. You want to be really aware. So this is more of that full moon energy of what are the facts? What do government organizations do to the people, right? Let's go back in time. We can start with every massive historical event. If you want to do the research yourself, it's all in the video of how these operations are meant to torment people and to hold everyone captive or prisoners in a perpetual state of what we call the poly crisis. There's always something going on to stay focused on, right? So then you're not paying attention to what's actually happening. If you've read George Orwell's 1984, it's all about the media and the propaganda. So this Gemini full moon in particular has been a wonderful highlight for all of us to really start to get a grip and understand and actually really clearly be able to see and talk about and share openly. Hey, we are in a time, an era of energy and information. And when we bring in the technology and the access that everyone has to information, it's very important that we're discerning which information is actually relevant and useful and aligned, right? Versus just a total mess and a psyop. So you don't want to get stuck in those pockets of energy, right? That's siphoning your energy. That's not New Earth. That's not 5D and above. So you really want to keep your heart open and continue to roll through the punches, right? Roll through the process here. You aren't stuck. You just think you are. Keyword, think, right? So it's like you got to really sit and be with and actively work with what are the thoughts I think I'm thinking, what's underneath those thoughts, right? And so it's important to understand that upgrades are constantly happening. If you imagine your computers and your phones, how often are these devices upgrading or updating their operating systems? So it's very important that we are also consistently doing that, looking at all of the themes and the patterns, the social imprinting, to always make sure that we are the most clear and solid and aligned with our functioning and our beliefs and our actual lenses of perception. Amazing opportunities here. So many upgrades happening, so many updates to our consciousness, continual opportunities to review. Oh my gosh, where are we still operating or believing or even perceiving from the old paradigm? And I'm going to share some of how this has come into my physical world now. A lot of my work leading up to this has mostly been cerebral or energetic, right? And so when we talk about consciousness and quantum consciousness, the journey has been all about how do we live, how do we function, our emotional state, our mental state, our interrelational relations with others, compassionate communication. The entire mystery school is how to live as a light being and how to function from that heart space, right? And that Christed space, but it was more of an emotional and a mental place. Well, now the shift is getting very physical. So there are even deeper elements here, essentially, of cleaning house with this crystalline energy. And it's pretty gnarly. Everything that isn't aligned is dissolving. And this could be challenging. And so this is a huge opportunity to trust and to allow the new to come forth. And this is where we take the facts that we know and then apply it to our upgraded beliefs. So here's an example. We know, this is a fact, that in the higher realms, if something is not highest aligned, it's going to collapse because it can't be maintained. A lower frequency structure literally cannot exist in a higher frequency bandwidth. So if we know that as part of cosmic law, that would be a fact of cosmic law, and working with the higher realms and integrating, right, and bringing that into our physical experience. So that means that physical stuff can start to shift right now. It could have the illusion of being gone or being taken away. That would be the perspective of the ego or the victim consciousness, saying, oh my God, that's been taken away from me. No, it's not that. Let's go back to the facts, right? So that you can see how it triggers programming when something can happen that could kind of really shock you or surprise you. And that's also part of this process of clearing. So we have the factual data of if something isn't highest aligned, it's not going to be able to maintain in this new reality. And we're now in this process of taking everything we've learned and applying it to align our reality now with the highest. So that means it's starting to get physical. The things out there in our physical reality are shifting. And now we have to take that information that we realize, yes, this is part of the shift. This is something we've been told for many years. Oh my gosh, now it's here. Okay, so what are our beliefs with that? Well, that our universe is going to take care of us because it always has. So it's balancing the facts with the beliefs and also ensuring that they are the most upgraded, right? We're not defaulting to an old belief system or a pattern or a program of feeling disconnected or lack or victimized or any of that kind of stuff. If all of those things come up, perfect. That's also part of the clearing process, right? That's also part of clearing our root chakra and our belief system of feeling less than or any of that kind of lack consciousness. So here is the real life example that has happened, okay? A week ago, my car died. I'm in the process now of welcoming in a new car, and it hasn't happened yet. But what has occurred with this event is everyone around me that's still operating from the social programs, the social imprinting about what we have, everyone around me has been freaking out about it. And it doesn't really make logical sense because we have a car that we can share and we communicate, we share it. There are also other opportunities if need be for now, like the bus. There's carpool options. There's a lot of options to creatively navigate this. Is it an inconvenience? Absolutely. I really miss having a car. I love having my own car. For me, a car is all about freedom. And that was something that Lisa Transcendence Brown assisted me to expand was you've got to also not have your freedom based on external objects. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. Okay. It's about looking at where we have programs from society about what we have or what we are supposed to have. And so my car dying and that timeline ending with that car, the entire storyline with that car was coming from the old paradigm 4 years ago, completely different place, being in a desperate situation. So getting a car that was a good price actually turned out to be a lemon, right? And so finally with this final dying of the hybrid battery, it's like, fuck this. I'm never doing a hybrid ever again. That battery that I bought, it was like $7,000, was supposed to last for 10 years and it lasted 3 years. So I'm like, no, this is not an aligned car. You know, a car should not be giving you this many problems. And the reason it was giving us so many problems and being such a lemon, it's not an aligned car. So then you have to expand beyond just fixing a problem, like almost like kind of putting your finger over a crack, right? That's in the dam. So it's actually a much larger thing. Instead of dealing with just the minutia of the initial, it's like, oh, well, let's just throw a little bit more money at it because it's cheaper to fix this car than it is to buy a new one, right? Or a new used car. Even though cumulatively over time, it's cost several times over, you know, the amount of the car. So we could have bought several cars with how many times we had to fix this one, right? And so allowing that timeline to just expire and watching how those who have and those who are not aware of more of a, you know, community oriented living or shared resources living, when you don't have, but they do have, your not having disrupts their reality because according to the fixed reality that they live in, the linear reality based on society and what the mass industrial corporate culture has ingrained in people. From the human perspective, everyone's got to have a car. If you don't have a car, you're inconveniencing me. And now I have to share with you. You should have your own. I have my own. So you see all this separation? So it's been very fascinating to witness this and to see the differences in mentalities. Like the New Earth mentality is, yeah, you share what you have. You know, there's not a separation of like, this is mine and you need to have your own and too bad for you, sucks for you. That's some weird stuff that we're looking at that everyone has had to go through realizing like, oh my gosh, this is kind of part of that splitting up of society, of humanity, going from what I call the Crystal Village templates, right? Everyone shares and takes care of one another. And it's actually much more environmentally conscious too, because you're sharing a car instead of everyone having a car, right? So a household doesn't necessarily need 5 cars, one for each person. So it's looking at like consumerism and all of these, oh yeah, well, this is how it is. This is how it has to be. So it's fascinating stuff. So when I'm talking about the energies, really looking at through the mind our concepts and our belief systems, and then what that opens up and what's the actual factual data looking at from the highest perspective. So it's pretty fascinating, let's just say, right? So this is the process of looking at where we have programs from society about what we have or are supposed to have. And everything that we truly need will be provided, but it's all having to come now from a higher aligned place, a pure place of consciousness, of appreciation, the kind of communal quality, that generous abundance codes of New Earth quality of sharing, not taking anything for granted. So the energies of this week are going to continue with this. We call it the pattern disrupt. And it can be very challenging for those who are in resistance or they want to live from the ego and the ego's wants. It's a big deal. So this is a huge week. This is all about emotions and subconscious beliefs. And like I shared, physical shifts now, as well as the mindset and the emotion. So there's a lot of clearing. There's a lot of new awarenesses of new ways of being. We have to watch where we keep tripping up in the programming, in the brain. And so this is where you really can look at neuroplasticity and where we are programmed. And then when there is a disruption, what that does to the brain, like what's actually happening and how that can affect people emotionally too, and dredge up their subconscious. Because if everything's not just going humming along on that linear way, all of a sudden you have to go around, right? There's a pothole in the road or there's a roundabout and you have to learn how to safely navigate the roundabout. That disrupts that kind of autopilot where people aren't really present. A lot of opportunities to be present. So the more we can do that on our own by coming into our heart awareness, doing whatever it takes to keep your heart open and to stay calm and in your faith, allow yourself to feel everything, but also trust, realizing, yes, we are going into an entirely new paradigm. We've been talking about it for a very long time. Many waves of beautiful way showers have been sharing for over 100 years of what the new paradigm would be like. And it's starting to happen in the physical now. So we can get freaked out by it, or we can just trust and be thankful that everything is starting to align more and more and more in that direction, right? And to trust that the resources or the creative ways of finding solutions, it will all come. But it can't come if we're in a panic. So there's a lot more of that root chakra work yet again, and the heart chakra work. So a lot of what we talked about in the crystalline codes of December. So a lot of clearing, new ways of being. Watch where you get fixed or fixated, because the reality and truth is flowing, right? It's a flowing plasma matrix. It's not linear boxes. It's not straight lines and 90-degree sharp angles and all of that. So you want to keep flowing and moving. Avoid the log jams. This week it can be really supportive to work with the earth element. So you want to get outside, spend time with the plants, breathe that beautiful air outdoors, stay close to the earth. Spend some time with herbs, cacao ceremony, amazing, to really stay deeply in your heart and keep your heart open. You could work with the fire elemental with candles or a fireplace to continue to have these burn rituals, burn away, clear negativity, use that beautiful clarifying power of fire to assist your focus, to assist you to clear. It's also an excellent time to study and to learn and explore higher knowledge, all kinds of wonderful topics, and expand your reality. And with that, we have a monthly membership where you have access to all of the courses. It's like over 30 courses in my course catalog at the online mystery school. The coursework created on my mystery school is all coming from one process at a time, or one aspect of conscious living at a time. And so I like to say this is where you can learn from A to Z all about living as light, living with your full presence, and learning whole new earth concepts of how to live, how to spend your everyday. And so we have the healing alchemy of fire ritual. There is connecting with cosmic divine mother Sophia energy, learning about quantum ancestral clearing and how important that is as well when it comes to the imprinting and really living from our highest timeline. We also have a lot of information on the Lightbody Lightbody and a whole system of movement and breath and how to work with the energy in your body and clear your body. Essentially, the process of almost like really coming into your body for the first time, right? Through the heart awareness. So it's a beautiful rebirth opportunity of living as light through the body and working from the feet up. So it's a wonderful Lightbody prana yoga course. Learning what quantum time is and how time is holographic, how time is a breathable framework for us here in this paradigm. Also, speaking of breath, an amazing breathwork course teaching you all about pranayama. So I have a yogic background and an Ayurvedic background in addition to all of the Ascension work. So I love to bring all of that forth. We also have an amazing Ayurvedic health management and detox section in this mystery school. A lot of amazing information. Connecting with the solar logos. There are some amazing consciousnesses, solar angels, solar ascended masters that live in the sun and higher dimensional realms, the solar rishi. And so I've got a whole course working with them and the physical ascension process, light body activations, the solar logos consciousness and connecting to that within and solar charging and really activating your solar beingness, and also learning all about the space weather. What causes the aurora borealis? What are solar flares? What are all these things and how do they affect us? What are they causing to shift and activate and unlock in our own neural chemistry? Remembering solaria, so more aspects of becoming a solar being. Also conscious leadership and entrepreneurship, really looking at all aspects of divinitizing and living in an ascended way in the human perspective, right? Bringing it all into the higher realm. So that's a monthly membership, which is an incredible deal to have access to all of this if you're really wanting to study and just nestle up and enjoy that process. So I'm wishing you an amazing week. Stay focused, keep going back to your tools, watch where the mind goes, enjoy all of the amazing opportunities with this crystalline purification, and remember to keep it sacred and slow down and enjoy, because this solstice is so amazing, so divine. There is truly a miraculous energy with this. We just have to access it ourselves by going into our heart space. So thank you so much for joining me today. And like I said, keep using your tools and keep the faith and keep your heart open. And I'll see you soon. Namaste.